The first time I lost him was when my parents divorced. I had no contact with my father between the ages of 5 and 27. As anyone knows, those are the years when you become who you are as a person. Growing up as a boy and a young man without a father, I spent many years dealing with the sadness of that first loss and missing a person I didn't know as well as I wanted to. As we reconnected later on in life, we discovered that we had several things in common. Our hands. Sports like pro football and track and field, classical movies, comfort food, and taking statins for our high cholesterol. One thing we did not share was his love of cars. As a native New Yorker, I grew up on public transit. My dad was a car guy, and as many of you know, he often had a nice new ride. One possible exception was a small black VW Beetle he used to drive when I was very little. One day he took me and my sisters out for a ride on Staten Island. I was about 4 years old and sitting on top of a hard briefcase in the back seat so I could see out the window. This was around 1965, so seatbelts weren't really a thing. We hit a bump or deep pothole, and you can imagine the impact that had on the Beetle. I bounced straight up in the air and hit the top of my head on the inside roof of the car, crying, "Ouch!" Without missing a beat, my dad looked over his shoulder and asked, "Is the car okay?" To be fair, I do have a pretty hard head. With the second and final loss, I'm now older and wiser. I'm the proud father of 2 fantastic adult children and recently retired from a successful professional career. From this perspective, I can perhaps better understand my father's life choices and appreciate his many accomplishments. He brought a lot of good into the world, and his decades of tireless work on behalf of Native people and dental students are his remarkable legacy. With his passing, I'm now going to miss him all over again, but in a different way than the first time. I'm left with the sadness of what might have been, but also with a better idea of who he was. 94 years is a darn good run. May my father rest in peace, and may the Cardinals someday win a Super Bowl so that he can really rest in peace. Thank you.
I'm George's middle child, always the overlooked one, so as a middle child here. I also didn't see my father for quite a long time. He left when I was 9, and I saw him maybe 3 times before I was 28. So again, my memories of him were when I was young. And again, with my brother in that Beetle, I really wanted this Venus Paradise coloring set. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but it's like a color, got pencils and colored in the little spaces. And we had gone to some toy store, and he wouldn't let me get it. And I can't believe he let me do this. But for literally an hour, I was in that little bug with my brother and sister and him saying, I want a Venus Paradise set. I want to be over and over and over again. He never once said, stop it. He just let me go on. I never got it until Christmas. But another thing with the movies, he took us to all the Elvis Presley movies. I mean, I was like 5 years old, and he's taking me to the Elvis Presley movies. I mean, the only one I always remember was it happened at the World's Fair, because at least there was a little girl in there. But he took us to the Alamo when I was like 3, and I was hiding in my seat. I mean, it's really funny, but the movies are a big thing. And the other thing he does besides the movie stuff is he also always took track of car mileage. And my partner does the same thing. And Mary Jane, you do too. And then, I don't know if you know this, but my father has a claim to fame of never once buying napkins or Sweet Love. Why would he buy those when he could just grab them off the restaurant? So all the restaurants in the Southwest area are probably really happy that he is not taking their stuff.
So inherited the napkin thing, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
Genetic.
Yes. But later on in life, I had a great relationship with him, and again, sports, big thing with us, football, and yeah, I'll miss him. Love you, Daddy.
My name is Upton Ethelbaugh. I go by Gray Shoes with my stone and bronze sculptures. Santa Clara Pueblo and White Mountain Apache. The last time I was in this room, I was making a presentation. Tables were up there with some of my pieces, and George and Patricia were in the front row. And when I finished, I went over to George and I asked him, George, did I do okay? And he said, I don't know, I couldn't hear anything you said. He said, but the round of applause that you got, I guess, meant that it was okay. So, thanks, George. My relationship with George and my family's relationship with George is personal. And it goes back to Santa Fe Indian School, where we all lived and where we were raised. I only knew indirectly about his professional career and most of you who knew him in that capacity. George, I want to make sure that I put in a plug for his book, because there's so much in there, there's so much content, so many personal experiences that I really recommend you get the book. In there he talks about the early years at Santa Fe Indian School and the fact that he had this teenage crush on my sister. And he was a couple years older, and as he went off to Creighton, that relationship pretty much ended, although they remained good friends for the rest of their lives. And when she died, I asked George if he would do the eulogy, and Patricia and George came to the funeral at Santa Clara, and George gave the eulogy. And in his way, only George could do, and you know, he has such a good sense of humor. He talked about being a late teenager and having a crush on this beautiful Indian princess, and here he was, a little fat boy. And he just had a hard time even talking to her because he was so impressed by her, and she was so much beyond his reach. Many little stories like that. The only other thing I'll say, a couple things. Number one is thank you to the Hearn Museum for all of this. Really appreciate it. And Mary Jane and I had, I guess it was your birthday party? Yeah, you were about 4 or 5 years old. I was a couple years older, several years older. And anyway, she got her first tea set, right?
From you.
Yeah, that was her birthday present. Thank you, George. He was like my brother, my uncle. He was a special man, and they threw away the mold when George passed away. Thanks, Patricia, for everything and for you guys.
Grateful to you. Thank you. Please welcome you all. Any other family members? Yes, Cassidy, please. This is my nephew, Cassidy.
Hi everybody, Cassidy Reeder, George Blue Spruce is my step-grandfather. So they were married right when I was born, or right before I was born. So he's been my grandpa pretty much my whole life, and always really enjoyed whenever he came around, and we got to spend time together as I was growing up. And he and I, we got a lot closer, really, really close once I decided to become a dentist. He always kind of encouraged me from a young age, but I decided to really go for it at about the age of 20 or 21. And so I remember calling him and telling him, Grandpa, I want to be a dentist. And just his voice sounded so excited. I asked him, would you be my mentor? Would you help me achieve this goal? Because it seems very daunting and I don't know if I can do it without you. And he assured me that he will help me achieve that goal no matter what it may take. And so that level of support and love from him all growing up, and also into helping me become a dentist, has meant the world to me. And we grew so close. I felt his love every single day so profoundly, his support with anything I ever needed. He was always right there, and he always told me how much he loved me. He always told me how proud he was of me every chance he could. And he expressed on many occasions that he considered me like his son. And that was something I always cherished so very much, and I will continue to live the rest of my days trying to make him proud. He holds a legacy that I don't think I'll be able to fulfill or step into. Those shoes are way, way too big, but I continue to try and make him proud every day, and I talk to him on occasion and just let him know, that I hold him in my heart every day, and that my entire career I really do want to make an impact as well. Hard to say if it might be as big as he had done, but I will do my best in my own ways. But yeah, just wanted to say those things. Thank you, everybody.
As we travel down the family tables, would anybody else like to say a word here on this table? We know you do. Yes, please, please. This is my daughter, Emily.
This is my mama. So I was adopted out of the family as a baby, but I have never felt like I've been separate. And Grandpa Blue Spruce was a huge part of that. When I was younger, around 18, 19, I believe, he took me and one of his students to New Mexico to see one of the ceremonies. And I'll cherish that forever. I haven't been able to be a part of my Native American culture very much at all, but he made sure to bring it into my life in the most beautiful way. He was the most amazing man. Thank you.
That was an opportunity that I wasn't able to provide as a birth mother, but I'm so grateful that in adulthood we were able to continue a relationship, that she was brought into the fold by all the members of my family. Who else would like to say anything? As I walk by, please just reach out to me. Family tables here, closest friends, family, loved ones. Would you like to say a word? Here we go, we've got some hands raised. And when would you like to speak, sir? You did, that was... I do. Yes, coming to you in just a moment. All right, here we go. And I'm sorry, you'll have to tell me your name again. Everybody knows you as Puggy. Oh, of course, how could I forget? Hi, Puggy. How could I forget that? So good to see you. Been a while. Thank you for being here. Just looking you up front, and I wasn't putting it together. I'm so glad. Puggy, everybody.
I'm niece Puggy Atzi. I am from Uncle George's Laguna side. Just to give you some background, family history, Uncle George's father and my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, they were brothers and sisters. So they've always been really close, and even though Uncle George had traveled around the world and became famous and so well known, he always had time for my grandma and grandpa when they lived in Barstow, California, and when they retired and moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Listening to you all talk about Uncle George, he's right here, and I can see him smiling and laughing, knowing that you remember the things that were most important to him. Patricia has only talked about family and that lineage. Aunt Mary Jane, the same thing, and for his children to be here. My cousins, who I have not seen for a very long time. I'm so glad you were out here and shared those special things about Uncle George, the food that he ate, things that he loved, but the movies have made, it's generational, because what Patricia had said, what Mary and Jane is saying, Dwayne, that's what we lived. We lived for the movies. Even my son here knows that we talk from quotes in the movies. We know exactly where to pick up on all those different things. But the movies were a really important part of life. That was just part of everyday thing. My mom, the oldest of 3 sisters, they all grew up in California. So coming back to the reservation and be with Uncle Burl and Uncle George, they talk movies and movie magazines and who were the stars and who were this and that. And that has been a connection from ever since I can remember going to the movies at. But one of the things that I remember about my Uncle George is the fact that he was so incredibly handsome and very impressionable to a young teenage girl. Patricia knows this, and she loves this story, that I had not seen my Uncle George in a very long time, and he came to visit my grandparents in Albuquerque one Thanksgiving evening. And we were probably about 18, 19 years old, and at my grandparents' house, we had a bunch of University of New Mexico college girls all there for dinner because they weren't able to go home during that time. So my grandparents opened the house to them. And here that evening, probably about 6, 7 o'clock, there was a knock on the door. So I was the closest, and I went to go get the door. And here was this man, this incredibly gorgeous man. And he was wearing a jacket, black turtleneck, and that famous, that one, the bolo tie, right there. And my mouth dropped. I thought that was Tyrone Power, standing at the door. And everybody, because I just went, and everybody told my girlfriends, oh, they came, and they came to the door, they went, and so finally my grandma said, who's at the door? Letting all the cold air out. And so I moved back, and in walked Tyrone Power. But it was actually my Uncle George. But he every time we were to get together, he would have me tell that story. So I'm sharing that story with you. But the fact that he was larger than life, and you are all here to celebrate that. You've known him personally, professionally, family. There aren't words enough to describe the man and the influence, what he has left on us, by what we saw today, what we are hearing, what you are sharing amongst yourselves. Because of that influence of him being the first doctor, the first for Indian health, the first for dental, that has been an impact on me, personally and professionally, my whole entire life. Because of that influence, I became a phlebotomist. I became a dental tech. I mean, a dental tech, but a dialysis tech. I'm a certified dementia Alzheimer's educator. And because of the stories of our people, our Pueblo people, I am a park ranger at Mesa Verde National Park. I'm also a tribal consultant for them and an educator in that capacity based on our Pueblo knowledge and our history that we are so very proud of to share and to acknowledge with all of you here today and in the future. Think of the things that my uncle has brought to the table. Think of the things and the legacy that he has left for his children to be proud of, for all of us other nieces and nephews and grandchildren that he had. An incredibly wonderful man. Even though he's not here, he's still here in so many different ways. Remember him, cherish him, share those moments that you have about him with others, because he left so many things that I'm so very proud of that he was able to accomplish from a little boy growing up on the reservation in New Mexico to what he was able to be today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those words. So, I'm with Clint. Go ahead. one moment. We're going to finish with family tables here. Sir, would you like to say a word?
Oh, sure.
That'd be wonderful. Please do. Would you like me to help you out? Or you got
No,
that?
well,
You got it.
you
I'll be
know,
right here for you.
you know, I'm almost 90 years old. I used to climb Pedestal Peak. Now I can barely get around. Yeah, right. Well, my name is Wayne Mitchell, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Herd. I love the Herd. In fact, almost 50 years ago, my first date with my beautiful wife, right here, was at the Herd. And I can't even tell you how she looked. She had on a lavender silk blouse, gray slacks, black high heels, and hoop earrings. Now, after 50 years, I still remember how gorgeous she looked. But I love the Herd. I've been here for so many years that it's sort of like a second home to me. And we recently donated a sculpture to the Herd, and I want to invite everybody to look at it. It's on the second floor, overlooking the courtyard, and it's called, we commissioned Kathy Whitman, elk woman, to carve the sculpture, and it's called Honor the Treaties. So I hope everybody will look at it and honor the treaties. Hold on, my wife wants to talk. Oh, yeah, George. We're here to honor George. And you know, George has been such a good friend. I've known him for so long, I can't even tell you when we first met. But we've been friends and colleagues, and when we would text each other, I would call him Payday, which means older brother, and he would call me TU, which means younger brother. So that's the kind of close relationship we had. And we've had a wonderful relationship. We had so many good times together. I can tell you a couple of stories. I'll keep one. This one is real brief. George used to be the area director for the Indian Health Service in Phoenix. And when he would call a meeting, it'd say, the meeting starts at 8 o'clock. And if you were not there at 8 o'clock, he would lock the doors. And you couldn't get in. So I think that's a wonderful story. Well, George is a wonderful friend. We really love him, and we're going to miss him a lot. Thank you.
Hey, we're good with the front tables, unless we have another hand at the front table here. We'll get to you, sir, very next. Next one, sir. Here you go.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'll remain seated, but thank you. Just one very quick thing for those who don't know me. My name is Miles Blue Spruce. I'm George's grandson and Dwayne's son, and I just wanted to thank George for, you know, there's many things that those that are here are remembering George for, but I just wanted to thank George for having his son Dwayne. Because, yeah, absolutely.
And in turn, we're grateful that Dwayne had his son, Miles. We're very grateful. All right, we're going to go to the next row unless anyone else would like to say anything here in the front rows. All right. I believe you are next, sir. Thank you so much for your patience.
You're very welcome. Kawansi Hopa, Director Kawinatsi, and Nancy Gisai Wachans Hopa. I'm from Laguna Pueblo. My name is Ron Solomon, and I am the former president and CEO of the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center in Albuquerque. This is my wife, Elaine, my pal for 53 years now. So we tend to go up and down Interstate 40 out to visit Arizona and Prescott in particular. We have a daughter in our family that lives there. But I want to bring the condolences and the best wishes to the entire family, but especially to Patricia. And I bring those on behalf of our tribal government, our tribal governor, the tribal council, all of our people, all of us that live there at Kawake. Kawake is the proper name for Laguna. And Puggy did a great job talking about her relationship and the family ties back to Old Laguna, especially, and her family, the Atses, are prominent people among our Laguna people. So guys, Dwayne and Miles, any tendencies that you have are Laguna tendencies. You're my brothers. But I wanted to just tell a couple of things. One is when Patricia and George used to come through Albuquerque, they would stop at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center and give me a call. George would say, "Hey brother, we're downstairs. You want to come and feed us?" And they said, "We also brought our pup too, so the pup needs to walk around in the grass." So we'd sit down and George would want me to catch him up on like about 2 or 3 years worth of history at Laguna. So we would sit there and talk. The pup would wander around, they'd get back in their car, and then they would head on down here to the Phoenix, greater Phoenix area at the time. The other thing about George and I, one time that we were both here at the herd, I was here for a business meeting with the executive leadership, and George was here at that time. He was getting courted to be on the board of trustees. So we both came down, and he had his meeting, I had my meeting. The staff at the time took us out to lunch, and we thought, okay, we'll go to lunch and just continue our conversation over there. So we always had a joking good time as us Laguna boys, so we walked over with, I think we had a party of maybe about 4 young women that were escorting us over there, and of course, we felt, we're all cool, we're good men. So they took us to lunch, we sat down, and we opened up the menus. We were both sitting next to one another, like my wife and I are here. We both opened up the menus, and then closed them very quickly. So the staff were astounded. They said, "Oh, you didn't even look at the menus. Did you see the specials or anything?" And we said, "Oh yeah." And so they said, "Well, we can't wait to see what you ordered." And so everybody was anxious to see what we ordered. And we're talking. Here comes the waitress with our orders. And they were astounded because we hadn't even talked to one another about what we were going to order. And what was it? A Laguna favorite, meatloaf. So they were shocked, and we had a lot of fun with that because we didn't even have to guess what we were going to have. It was going to be meatloaf. So I love George like a brother because the age difference was there, but he was such an amazing individual, and so was his brother. And they were amazing because they represented our entire Pueblo and what they were able to accomplish. And we were just astounded and so proud, and we are today too. And we love you, Patricia, and the rest of the family here. We send our condolences, and as we say in Laguna, Trazan y Cruz. Take a deep breath and remember your relative. Remember all that he represented to you, all the fun that he represented to you, all the support that he provided to all of you and to all of us. So, enjoy we send our regards to all of you from our Pueblo, to all of you. Thank you for honoring our brother, our relative, the way that you have by being here today. And Lloyd, thank you so much for making this facility available to all of us to celebrate this one gentleman. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I personally need a deep breath, so thank you for the reminder. We'll come to you. Yes, ma'am. Oh, in response? Okay, just in response for a moment, then I'll come to you.
The Cultural Center in Albuquerque, yeah, they always stop there. But this one time, he had left the dog in the car. And a police officer, somebody reported that there was a dog in the car, and it's the middle of summer. And of course, he had a big bowl of water, and the windows were open. But somebody called the police on my brother for animal cruelty. So they had to explain that it wasn't an animal cruelty. He left the dog in there. So my husband, who's not here today, when we were up at the village OK, my husband went up to him and he says, "Sir, you're sitting on that rock, and we know that you've been wanted for animal cruelty. Would you please come with me?" And my husband is very tall, and my brother just sat there like, "Oh my gosh." And then he looked up and saw my husband Phil. He goes, "Oh!"
Anyone that knows Dr. Spruce knows for a fact that he is the #1 top animal lover of all human beings ever to be born on planet Earth. He has had many people say they wish to be reborn as one of his pets in order to have the lap of luxury for their entire lifetimes and be held up on a pedestal for the entire time. So we know him not to be at all. That is a funny story. And you are next, ma'am.
Thank you to the family for hosting this event. My name is Winifred Booker. I am a pediatric dentist, and I'm the 13th member of the Society of American Indian Dentists. Very proud. So my mother loved the 88 News, and that's how we learned about the Society of American Indian Dentists. I'm descendant of Piscataway. That's to try to welcome the settlers into Maryland. Sorry. And so I wrote to become a member, and George accepted my mom and I in Oklahoma. He welcomed us for that meeting in Oklahoma in 1988. So I'm very proud to be that 13th member and a past president of the Society of American Indian Dentists. So thank you. And I'm so grateful for everything that George has done.
We've got time for a handful more. We'll just do it roll by roll, but then we'll come to you in just a moment. No, I apologize. Just thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and family members for this beautiful celebration honoring Dr. George Spruce. I'm Dr. Leslie Grant, 82nd President of the National Dental Association, which is 112 years old. We understand the obstacles, the challenges, and the inspiration of being the first and the only. And we celebrate and mourn with you. We thank you so much for having us and some of our representatives here from the National Dental Association. I did not talk about movies with Dr. George Spruce, but we did talk a lot about health equity, especially after the Surgeon General's report, first ever report on oral health in America in the year 2000. We honor him and we thank you again.
Thank you for those words. Everyone come to us to the end of this row. And thank you also, I don't mean to be curt, but thank you for keeping it brief. I do appreciate that. If that happens, just move the microphone a different direction and see if that helps. Here we go.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Desva Damon.